So the past couple of games have not been going well. Battletech, Wings of Glory, Warhammer 40K, whatever your wargaming system is, victory has been elusive. What I wanted to focus on in this podcast, push up to the archive and build on a few comments from over on my blog, dealing with a losing streak, breaking that losing streak, minimizing that losing streak, and some tools and tech to move past it. Because certainly wargaming in the beginning is about victory. It is 100% about the win. And I say that not so much from a competitive standpoint, but in order to get good and understand the rules and pull your tactics together, the primary feedback is, did you win the game or not? You do things correctly, you win the game. You do things incorrectly, you lose the game. And then over time, as you evolve, you win a lot of games, you lose a lot of games, you've got a massive pile of models, you want to try different tactics, you want to try different narrative. It's more about doing something on the table. That something could be a win, that something could be a heroic last stand, that something could be pulling off an amazing combination in your army, or it could just be like, hey, I want to play a bunch of these weird units and see how it works out, right? See if it matches what it says on the paper on there. But victory is always behind the driving force. And it's one thing to lose a couple of games, of course, modified by opponents. I'm not going to name any names, but there's 2 or 3 opponents that I play, and if I lose, I basically have to hide out till the next time we play, just because I'm going to hear it all the time. I get like midnight texts, I get like memes sent my way, and everything like that, all in good nature. But certainly it piles up over time, and the more you lose, it kind of has a magnetism. It kind of hangs over you, where it's like, I can't win. And then that builds and builds and builds. So it's important we break this right away. So the first thing, of course, I won't say know thyself, but it is kind of know thyself. Did you deserve to lose? Did you make some mistakes? Did you do something that your mind said, look, this is a bad tactic. This is not going to work. But that chance for glory, I'm speaking from my own player personality. There have been a number of games where over a couple of turns, I've maneuvered myself into an excellent tactical position. I don't say, 100% tactical, because it's a dice game, but an excellent tactical position. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm ready to launch that strike to cripple my opponent. But then something interesting happens. And I see something. I see a chance for glory, because I try to put my player personality into my commander, into my senior officer, whatever it's going to be, my lance commander, my star commander, my chaplain on there. Fritz is a chaplain, although I'd probably be a librarian. Playing that on the table, I have to do it. I have to go for glory on there. And it could be something as crazy as, often when I wargame, we'll have music playing in the background, and at the beginning of my turn, if a certain song comes on, if it's got me pumped, then I have to do it, right? I mean, I have to charge. I have to take that advantage. And just even though mentally I'm like, no, do not do that. Tactically, that is not good. But the music is getting me pumped in there, right? When Gladiator plays, like, there you go. There's the sign from the gods. Besides, I mean, on a side point, when I arrive in Valhalla, how could I face Wotan if I didn't take that charge? So you have to start to examine and look and see, did you make the mistakes just because you were aware of them, but you made a conscious decision? When that happens, then, hey, look, there's nothing you can do. You kind of deserved it. So now we go down to the second tier. Have you been losing? Have you been losing because the game is mismatched? Now, certain wargaming systems, this happens versus others. The worst offender, and you guys know I love Warhammer 40K, Warhammer 40,000. Nothing's balanced. There's a massive diversity of units and models, which is a good thing on the one hand, but on the opposite side, it's essentially sit down and play. So I can sit down building a narrative list, kind of a fun list, taking a bunch of different units to see what happens, and you just copy and paste, spam out the best. So whatever's the best right now, like back in the day, Imperial Knights, okay, 5 Imperial Knights. Like, what? Like, yep, that's my list. It's legal. So if you are playing a game going in expecting something different than your opponent, that mismatch, you're going to get crushed. I mean, there's certain Eldar builds that I've played that against a competitive list, they're just going to get smashed. No matter how good I am, no matter how good the tactics are, I'm just going to get smashed on there. So one of the things I like to do as a side note is just approach a game. If it's a pickup game, someone that I've never played before, I'd like to say, hey, what kind of game are you feeling? So I have about 4 or 5 lists written. And what are you feeling? You want to do competitive? You want to do narrative? You want to do more of a story? And I try to pick, not knowing what their list is, not knowing what their army is, because I don't want to meta it. I don't want to cheat. And get an idea of what game do you want to play. You want to go just hard to the wall competitive? Okay, I got a list for that. You want to go narrative and try to relive the Black Library? Then we'll do that. So as an opponent, you need to know what kind of army are you playing versus your opponent. So now you're like, Fritz, I'm just getting smashed. I mean, I'm making the right decisions. I'm bringing the hard as nails, hard as rocks list, and I'm just getting smashed on there. So the key here is when you lose, and it's a crushing victory, and it's not the dice, I find it helps, and there's a little bit of ego here, it certainly is challenging, to ask my opponent, well, what have you done differently? Or what did you see? Or what was your decision point on here? Or at this point in the game, when I made this decision and I thought I really had it, all of a sudden something switched. What do you see? And begin to get that feedback on there. Now, they might deliver it in a very blunt way because they think they're the ultimate warrior, and mad respect to the real ultimate warrior, and they think they're like the best tabletop general ever, and you might just have to sit there and take it. Not that that's fun, but if they have that type of attitude that doesn't dispel their ability, they won, right? They might have some insights. So you take those insights, you file it away. Another thing to look at is to look at the units in their army, especially if you're playing something. So if I'm playing Space Marines and you're playing Space Marines, to look and say, or Eldar versus Eldar, look to say, hey, those units, how did you use them? See how they're using their units. Get insights from other players on there. So we really need to start to deconstruct the game and real time after the battles happen, tabletop, look and analyze your tactics. The first way out, or half of the way out, is tactically. You're going to have to grow and expand your tactica. When you find you're losing games regularly, you are on the cusp of taking it to the next level. You are on the cusp of breaking out your tactics. The question is, in that growth, that potential for growth, are you able to stick with it on there and make that breakthrough? Real-time feedback after the games, absolutely. YouTube channels, looking at battle reports where someone is playing your army, looking at the decisions they make to lead to the win. All those things, valuable tools on there. The next aspect is to step back, not from the game, but just step back from a little bit, because the more you lose, the more narrow your tactical insights and vision is going to be, because it's going to be hanging over you like a hunger. I have to win. Take a step back. I don't say play a different army. If you got your Space Marines, play a game with a friend that's narrative. Do a doubles game. Or in this case, soon to be Apocalypse. Play an Apocalypse game. Play a game with a different mission, with a different set of points. Something that is your gaming system, if we're talking Warhammer 40,000, something that is your gaming system, but totally different than what you normally play. So this way, it's so different, your mind isn't like, okay, have to win. And it's so different that if you win, you're like, cool. If you lose, you're like, okay, it's no big deal because it's something radically different. I will often use a last stand type game on here because you still want to get the tactics. You still want to play through. You still want to keep that momentum going. I'll play something like, you outnumber me 3-1. I'm in the center of the table, minor fortification. You can come in on any table edge that you want. How many turns can I survive? The victory. I'm done. It's over. Draken's last stand with the Crimson Fists up there. How many turns? So it's a badge of honor. If I can hold out 3, 4, 5, 6 turns, 7, 8. I think the largest was 9. I mean, really digging in. Really digging in and fighting to the bitter last. And if there's 3 Marines left, they run into a building and, they pull out combat knives and they wait and they're ready. Just literally every single inch of that gaming table is paid for in opposing models on there. Something to keep you in the game and to keep your tactica and your mind moving, but you're not tied to win or loss. That's how I've powered through the win versus loss. And that's what's helped me over the years to make that next step on there and break free from that losing streak.